Hello, sweet viewers. I am jumping on a plane to Utah in just 2 hours. If you want to see why, you can head over to my Instagram at Katherout, and I always update all of my travels there. But I wanted to get this up because I know back to school season is winding down. A lot of you probably aren't in the study mode yet. You don't have anything to study for yet. But we all know how frantic we can get when the time comes to actually buckle down and study, so I wanted to put these out there in the universe beforehand. This is going to be, and I don't want to jinx myself, my last study tips video. These are the last fruits of studying tips plucked right from my brain, given to you. Are you ready? The only acceptable answer is yes. Number 1, we all study with music on. If you don't, I'm insanely impressed. The optimal studying state is without music because it's actually a distraction and it makes you multitask, which pulls away from your attention. I would be impossibly sad if I had to study without music. I can barely even do my laundry without music, so if you're gonna listen to music when you study, make it work for you. You could just throw your Spotify on shuffle or listen to the Spotify study playlist on shuffle, do that. But you could also be strategic with it. I personally like to listen to loops, like an hour-long looped soundtrack on YouTube. I like to listen to Pixar's Inside Out soundtrack, Coco's amazing soundtrack. I like to listen to the Main Street Disneyland loop. Clearly I have a thing for Disney and Pixar, but whatever it is, I would try to find music or even a playlist that's a certain amount of time long. If you know you have to do a problem set for econ or for statistics and it's gonna take you on average 45 minutes to an hour, actually compete against yourself and see if you can get that done before the soundtrack is up. And this works better with soundtracks you're already familiar with, so you can kind of recognize, oh shoot, we're near, gearing down to the last couple of songs. But especially for essays, if I was gonna say, okay, I'll write the first paragraph or I'll write the first kind of point today, then I would say, okay, I'll give myself an hour to do that. I would put on my Main Street USA soundtrack and I would get to it. And if I didn't finish it in that soundtrack, then I knew I was behind pace and I needed to gear it up or, switch something up so I'd be more motivated. Number 2, I can't even remember if I've given you guys this tip before. Maybe I have, but I figured if I can't remember if I've given you guys this tip, then you guys probably have already forgotten the tip. The tip is when you're doing a practice test or even when you're doing the real test, every single time you put down an answer that you're not 100% sure of, we all know when we fill in a bubble and we're like, it's 100% B, there's nothing else it could possibly be. When you're that certain, you're good. But when you have a certainty level of 60%, yeah, I think this is C, but it also could be A, mark that down. So every single time you get to a question, you put an answer down you're not super sure on, mark down, okay, I 80% think it's C, but there's a 20% possibility in me that it could be A. Literally write that in the Scantron next to the question, and that way when you go back to check your answers, you don't have to go through the whole test. You just spend your time on the ones that you weren't 100% certain on. As soon as I started doing that, I got a lot fewer questions wrong on Scantrons because it forces you to think critically about how certain you are so that you're not just flipping things back and forth at the last second because you feel like it might be A. You're kind of evaluating your certainty level. Number 3, I actually learned this in a Headspace meditation class and didn't really work with Austin, but I personally have found it so helpful even in the working world, not even studying at all. When it comes to focus and attention and productivity, the crucial thing is that when you go to do something, you do it with intention. So a lot of times when I'm at work, I'll have 5 tabs open, I'll be checking my email, I'll be working on something else, I'll be listening to music, I'll be talking to a coworker. But when you have a task at hand, when you have a speech to prepare for, or when you have a project outline to do, a lot of times we know that we need to do it, but we don't exactly set out to accomplish that one thing and that one thing only. Actually say to yourself, that can be in your head or out loud depending on where you're studying, say to yourself my task at hand is blank. When I do that, when I say my task at hand is getting to inbox 0 and answering all my emails, I actually do cycle through all my emails in a much more organized, complete fashion because I don't let myself go to lunch until I've done that. I don't let myself talk to a coworker until I've done that. So if you can just wrap your mind around the intention piece, do everything with intention. Tip number 4 kind of goes along with intention, and that is when you're trying to get from a very clear point A to point B, as in you haven't started your studying yet and then you need to finish your studying before the test, I always relied on Course Hero. We partnered together on a video about a year ago, and you guys gave me great reactions to the site, so I wanted to plug them again. I'll have the site linked down below. Definitely go scroll around the homepage and check it out. They have all the practice problems, they have all the study guides, they even have notes from classes that you can review during your study time. They have 24/7 tutoring, so when your TAs are asleep, they'll still be there for you. And what's actually crazy about Course Hero, it's not just business, it's not just psychology, they have programming help, they have law help, they have microeconomics help, like they have a huge, crazy range. I don't remember the number that I gave out last time I partnered with them on a video, but now they have 20 million study resources. Like this is your go-to. So one way you can practice the intention tip is to go, after this video, set a goal to go on Course Hero, create an account, and poke around, maybe look at one study guide. Course Hero was there for me in my times of need when I just needed more resources to study with when professors weren't providing enough. I sincerely think the most prepared people for every test are the ones that went on Course Hero and did like a bazillion study guides and practice tests and everything. Especially if you feel like you've been stuck in a rut with studying where you do the same thing every single time and the professor always gives out virtually the same study guide or the same practice questions. Switch it up and use Course Hero. And thanks to them, you got one more study tips video out of me, which has continually been requested, so. Number 5, this is more specific for if you're working on a speech or a presentation, anything you're going to orally deliver to the class or to a professor or whatnot. I personally think it's bad to practice a speech more than like 5 times because then you start to sound robotic. It's the exact reason why I don't script out my videos and have every line memorized, because it would not sound genuine, it would not sound playful or like engaging. So you want to be dynamic in your presentation, not have it just robotically memorized. But I know a lot of you, 5 times might not be enough to practice and get really comfortable. So after the first 2 times, record yourself giving the speech or record yourself giving the presentation on your just voice memo app on your phone. And then when I was walking between classes or getting ready in the morning or before going to bed, because it's always best to refresh things before you go to bed because it cements in your mind more while you sleep, I would just listen to that voice memo kind of on loop, which got kind of annoying. I started to pick up on, oh, once I say this line, this is the line that comes after. Or this is how I like to start out the speech, this is how I always end it. And that way you sort of anchor yourself to key moments and you start to listen to the pacing more so you don't speed up too much, or you know where you speed up a lot and you can forcibly slow yourself down. For my more important speeches, I would do that, and I found it to be comforting to have that really ingrained in your brain. My next tip is to make a cheat sheet even if you're not going to use it on the test. So obviously there are professors that say, okay, you can use an 8.5 by 11 cheat sheet, or you can use an index card cheat sheet or whatnot. Even if they don't let you use on the test, still make a cheat sheet, because that will force you to, first of all, write the key points of all the different units of that semester down or that course down. And we all know how good writing things down is for our brain and memory. You'll be forced to synthesize all the most important lessons from every chapter, which then forces you to go through every chapter. And similar to the recording voice memo thing, having something to reference and look at really does help you ingrain it into your memory. And no, of course, you're not going to bring that into the test and cheat or do any sort of academic dishonesty. But usually when I make a cheat sheet, by the time I get to the test, I'm already so familiar with what's on the cheat sheet, I don't even use it in the test. And that's kind of the point of a cheat sheet. That's most of the reason why professors make you do it, because it makes you more prepared. So even if they don't even mention the word cheat sheet, make it for every test or every important test, and let me know how that works. Actually, let me know how all of these have worked. If you tried them before, let me know how they work. As usual in Katherout fashion, let me know which tip you're most excited to try, or I guess this is a studying related video, so which tip you're most likely to try and maybe not excited by. I'm not going to pretend that everyone gets excited by studying. Even I, Katherout, do not. So thanks so much for watching what I think will be my last studying tips video. Please subscribe or recommend my channel to your friends that are having trouble in school or after school in the real world. I'll see you guys next time, and Katherout.